Hiya, my name is Freya Maver. I've been in things such as Skins, Sense of an Ending, La Dame dans l'Auto, and more recently Dead in a Week or Your Money Back. And you are listening to Kneel Before Pod.
Kneel Before Blog presents Kneel Before Pod.
When I was a child, my planet Krypton was dying. Okay, not really, but my parents named me Craig Mackenzie, and I was put on this earth to consume nerdy content. The problem is, there's just so much. So I did my best, until recently, when a website allowed me to force myself upon the world. To most people, I'm a giant nerd who watches too much TV, but in secret, I'm an even bigger nerd who watches even more TV. I do this to talk about it and protect the masses from potentially bad content. This is Kneel Before Pod. So, returning from his extended stay on Argo, I don't know why he went there, he doesn't know anyone. That must have been a really weird stay. But it's Chris.
Hello.
How was your holiday in Argo?
Do you know what? It was surprisingly nice. I thought, do you know what? I've been everywhere else, so why not Argo? And you should go to Argo too.
Why though? I don't know anyone.
I've just been paid by the Argo Tourist Board to say that.
The Argo Tourist Board. Yeah. They have a tourist board?
Yeah.
I don't know, have they not got some weird stupid rock that's keeping them alive?
Well, you can get to see that rock when you visit
brilliant.
Argo.
Brilliant. Although Tuvok lives there. Or some guy that looks a lot like Tuvok. So, yeah, maybe I will go. Any excuse to visit space. Anyway, so we have to kneel before and rise against stuff. So, you can go first. What would you like to kneel before?
I am going to kneel before the fact that Christopher McQuarrie has announced that he is directing 2 more Mission Impossible films, and we're going to get them pretty quick as well. I've really liked his work with Mission Impossible, and I kind of look forward to seeing another 2 films. I mean, they are filming them back to back. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to be as good quality, but judging by how dates and release dates seem to slip with these films, I don't think they will end up being back to back in the end.
Yeah, well, they're filming it back to back, which suggests it's some kind of 2-part story. I wonder if this is the bow out of Tom Cruise.
Ooh,
they're giving him an epic 2-film finale kind of thing before he maybe hands over to someone that's not in his 50s and trying to run around. I don't know. I mean, well, we don't know other than the fact that they're making 2 more with the same director, and it's so weird that now over half the franchise has the same director.
Well, especially from one that kind of famed itself on sort of flipping around with different people.
Yeah.
And then they went, oh, this guy's good. We'll get him back one more time. Oh, actually, do you know what we'll do? It's like, we're just going to do all of them.
It's also not over half the franchise. It's exactly half the franchise.
Yeah.
It's 4 films that you do.
But then, so it's going to be 2021, 2022 that we're going to get to see them. So,
yeah.
It's good. That's the date so far. So yeah, I'm up for that. I've really liked the stuff Fallout, and that was brilliant. So yeah, looking forward to seeing this.
Bang up for that as well. If it is the departure of Tom Cruise from the franchise, no one can say that he hasn't put in the hours, hasn't done the work. It's like, yeah, okay, it's like when Hugh Jackman decides to stop being Wolverine. You're like, yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, do you know what? You've done your time. You've done a really fair stint. Yeah, it could be Ethan's last mission. He gets to save the world and go out in absolute glory. Yeah,
although what could be larger scale than the stuff he's already done? It's like, why does this thing kill him? I don't know. I always think that these big tough action heroes, they should die in a really unassuming way. Like Rambo falls over in the shower and breaks his neck, something like that. Just because what else can kill him? Just something so mundane. Just what else can kill this guy?
Walk along on the street, a dog walks out in front of him, he trips over, head hits the pavement in the wrong way. That's it. Yeah. Ethan Hunt's out.
Yeah, that's it. Just fine. I don't know. He's maybe just not paying enough attention while he's driving, and he's in a car crash and it kills him. I don't know.
Poor Ethan.
Yeah, sorry, Ethan. Yeah. I feel like even if they don't kill him, he'll go into hiding and just live his life and never worry about it. I don't know. It's a good kneel before. Good one. I'm going to kneel before the John Wick 3 trailer. because it looks amazing. I love the John Wick movies. They're the perfect showcase for Keanu Reeves. He doesn't have to say much, and he gets to show how good a stuntman he is. I mean, I love the John Wick character as well. I love that the first film he's avenging his dead dog. That's the premise. They've killed his dog, so he's going to kill everyone associated with the people that killed his dog. That's it. That's the story. Fantastic. The trailer looks amazing. This one has like all of his old assassin buddies try to chase him down, which includes on horseback. So, amped. I am amped. I mean, we're getting Avengers, Endgame, John Wick 3, all this good stuff this year.
I mean, with the John Wick films, they just throw so much at it, and I think that's what makes it such a fun watch as well. But
it's competently directed as well. Like, I mean, we can count on, we can't count on any number of digits, the amount of mediocre to terrible action films we've seen, because you get directors that just don't know what they're doing. And like, I'm not gonna say I'm an expert on filmmaking, but I know a bad action film when I see it. I just might not know why it's bad as such, other than I'm watching this and it's doing nothing for me. But actually, I'll try and find them for the notes, but there were some YouTube videos that I watched, this is ages ago now, I can't remember what channel it is, but it was good, and they were talking about the use of cinematic language in things like John Wick, and it was talking about things like, whenever John Wick is in a fight, so he's in a gun battle or whatever, he's always shot from the left, and the bad guys are shot from the right, so that your brain tells you what side they're on. It's just cinematic shorthand to tell you that stuff. And the cuts are clean, so it always keeps with that. And then when you see him shot from the right, that tells you that that he's in danger at that point, because he's lost control of the situation. So that kind of stuff fascinates me, and I want to learn more about it. But that's just one example of why it's good, because the directors know what they're doing, they know how to frame these things, they understand how action scenes work. And I suppose if you were to look at Die Hard or any of the other really good ones, you would get a similar sort of visual language going on if you were to suddenly look for it. So I will find those videos, because I think people should watch and learn.
Yeah,
I think accepting crap action films.
I think the thing is that they take time with these films. The fact that they've found success and found a following doesn't mean that they've put one out a year. They're not putting these things out super quick and causing problems, which seems to go against what I've just said about Mission Impossible. But it's they're not sort of quickly rattling these things out, and they're keeping the quality standard high, presumably. We've not seen it yet, so let's go with presumably.
yeah, I'm sure it'll be great. I'm going to put a stamp on it now. It's going to be.
Oh, it gets the official Kneel Before Pod seal of approval.
It does.
Can we superimpose the seal of approval in here?
I'll play
get the noise of the seal of approval, please. Yeah,
I could play like a big metallic stamping sound effect. Yeah, or even just a normal stamp sound effect. Depends what.
I was thinking a seal, but anyway.
Oh yes, a seal.
Let's get the actual seal.
That's even better. Or I could stamp and then use a seal.
Anyway, don't stamp on the seal. Yeah. You put the stamp down, and then the seal of approval officially seals the stamp of approval. There we go.
Let's see what I can come up with. Or hear what I can come up with. Cool. Let's move on to Rising Against. What are you not liking this week?
I am kind of disappointed that EA, Electronic Arts, they've cancelled another Star Wars game, and it was going to be an open world one, which is the kind of thing I like. As much as I know that people like sort of the Battlefront ones where it's player v player and sort of teams on teams, I always like a sort of open world story kind of game. And it was. We didn't know that much about it, to be honest, but it was an open world title. It was codenamed Orca. Okay. Not Space Orca, not anything like that. It was just called Orca. Mm-hmm. The rumours are that it was based on a sort of a smuggling game, a sort of little rebellious smuggling game that was going to be made by another publisher previously. But EA have pulled it because they're going to work on a smaller scale Star Wars game. So it either means that we're going to get another online multiplayer stab each other with lightsabers game or something along those lines by the sounds of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I did read about this, although there is another Star Wars game coming out this year called Fallen Order or something like that. And I thought it was that. So, I guess there's just a bit of overlap when it comes to Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, this was apparently getting ready for a 2020 release date, this one. So it was the early phases.
Yeah. Interesting.
Maybe they tried to bite off more than they can chew. Maybe there's stuff that they can salvage for the smaller scale game. I don't know. Maybe the scope will just be slightly smaller for it. But I think they've struggled a lot to put Star Wars into video games. So I would like to see a new one, an up to date one.
They've struggled in some cases, but they've also done really well. I mean, Lucasfilm or LucasArts, when they existed, were making some really good stuff. I don't know. I don't remember most of them, but there's things like Knights of the Old Republic. Everyone loves them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing this wasn't another Knights of the Old Republic. Maybe it was. I suppose they would make good stuff back in the day.
I remember spending hours on an X-Wing fighter game that they made, and I think there was a thing called DroidWorks that I had when I was younger as well, which was a lot of fun.
Episode 1 Racer in the N64. That was quite something. Yeah, Star Wars games. I like a good Star Wars game. So I'm going to rise against something that I don't even hate that much. I watched the first episode of the rebooted Roswell TV series it's on the CW, because of course it is. I don't know if you ever watched the original Roswell TV series.
No, I haven't.
I watched it back in the day. It was fine. It's not, it didn't set the earth on fire with how good it was, and I don't know, it had enough of a fan base to sustain it through its 3 seasons, I suppose. But the reboot is just, it's also kind of fine, and it's left me wondering why they're making it. Because it has a lot of the same beats that the original one does. So the first episode is, like Liz, one of the lead characters named Liz, she gets shot, and Max, who's an alien, heals her because that's one of his alien powers. And then she finds out that he's an alien, and then they embark upon a will they, won't they romance for a period of time. So the original show, they were teenagers, so they were at high school. This one, they're like in their 20s. Liz is like a scientist, which is kind of what she was in the first one anyway. And she's Latina now, which, the CW's got to hit that diversity quota. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm saying that, if you watch enough CW shows, which we both do, you start to notice these little things that they keep doing. You've got the mixed race character, you have the gay character, you have, and so on. It seems that that's what they're doing on all their shows, and I don't know if that's always the best thing to do, because you might just be making a superficial point about the thing that you're making a point about. I don't know, but I watched the episode and I was reasonably entertained by it, but I was also kind of lukewarm on it. And I'm like, okay, you're updating this in theory, try to bring it to a new audience. I watched the first episode of Charmed, and it's like you're trying to do something different with it. I can see that, but with Roswell, it doesn't seem like they're doing much different other than the characters are now the same age as the actors playing them, as opposed to pretending to be 10 years younger. So yeah, that's me. I'm rising against the mediocrity of rebooting old TV shows, and we'll get to see how, if you watch more of it, if I watch more of it, I'll get to see how the CW trappings creep in. It's like, here's the love triangle, here's the will they, won't they, here's the I can't be with you because you're an alien, here's all this. I can see it. I've almost predicted the entirety of the first season.
You need to put them in a sealed envelope so you can reveal if all this comes true by then.
I'll rise against it, and when season 1's complete, and I'll be like, yeah, so in episode 2 that happened. I think yeah, it is what it is in that respect. I'm sure it has an audience, although I can't imagine that audience. I don't know what that audience is, come to think of it, because there's plenty of this garbage out there.
I don't know. I think the thing is, it's like they're looking for ones that other TV networks haven't got their mitts on, or other streaming platforms haven't. So they sort of look about and go, right, is there something out there that we could just relicense or get a hold of off of someone that we can do?
Warner Brothers already had it. It was on like the WB back in the day. So yeah, they can just easily chuck it in. Yeah, you're right. It's just what have we got in our back pocket that we can pick up again.
It's a similar thing to if a particular format starts to take off, that people start looking about for anything they can find that sort of matches it in similar ways. The fact that, for example, Game of Thrones is ending soon, so lots of them are looking about for different fantasy things that they can pick up, in far-flung worlds, and there was a whole string of them that started up around about the same time as Game of Thrones. Season 3 of Game of Thrones started, and season 1 of all these very, very similar type shows started cropping up. Yeah.
No, I agree. Yeah, and the CW, they do seem to make variations on the same thing quite a lot of the time. The sort of the wrapping is different, but everything else is everything else is the same. The DNA is very much the same, which is kind of why we're frustrated with the Flash sometimes. We keep kicking that show even though it's getting better. Listen to our mid-season podcast where we don't quite give it the kicking that we always do. But you notice these things, or they crop up in Arrow, which is the show that we're going to talk about in another podcast, or they certainly cropped up in Supergirl, the show that we're here to talk about, because they did. You had the love triangles, you had the angst, you had all that nonsense. So now that our Kneel Before Rise Against is over, let's get to the main event. So season 4 of Supergirl is back next week, as per this recording, possibly last week by the time I get this recording online, but we'll see. So without spoiling it, Chris, what did you think?
I've always had a bit of a love-hate thing with Supergirl, and this season I think has been okay. It's been a bit darker in tone than I think we're used to with Supergirl. I don't know if maybe it's just hitting a bit too close from home, but I think it's been okay so far. I kind of feel the same in some respects. I mean, I love the show, love the characters, and I do like that this season is actually trying to be about something. It's taken and it's in something that they didn't establish before. It's been in the background since about season 2, but they're taking it and running with it and delivering some really good stuff. I mean, we'll get more into it once we can spoil stuff, but yeah, I think this has been a strong season so far. I mean, it meanders here and there, but it's strong. Yeah, like you say, it does occasionally sort of waver from the path, but in there I think there's a couple of really powerful episodes. Even if they're not particularly powerful, Supergirl heavy episodes, there's still some good content in there.
Yeah. And I mean, without spoiling it, I can't say much else, so should we just move on?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Cool. Okay, so the main thrust of this season is about Supergirl, well, all the characters really battling racism, anti-alien sentiment that's been growing since the second season, which is kind of coming to a head now, where you've got the Children of Liberty, who are kind of Purge-style people trying to take out aliens, led by the charismatic Agent Liberty. I like that this is a problem that Kara can't punch. There's isolated incidents that she can get involved with, but it doesn't solve the problem. So she'll fight a villain, she'll deal with a situation, she'll fight a dragon, but she can't punch racism. She can't defeat that. And sometimes I think it buries it a little bit, and they do mention it early on that Supergirl is accepted because she looks human. Although the fact that she keeps a secret identity is a weirdly hypocritical thing for her, because she's talking about aliens should feel free to express themselves and be open. It's like, I've got to get to that fake job that I hold.
I've got to get to that fake job with my fake name so that I can hide and no one knows who I am.
Yeah.
But that can be applied the other way as well, where you then get the Agent Liberty angle, which is these aliens shouldn't be disguising themselves and hiding away as he talks from behind his mask to try and say what he's doing. And you're sitting there going, on both sides of that argument, they're kind of losing. She's constantly hidden, and obviously towards the mid-season, it's she gets given that choice. You either reveal yourself to the US government or you don't, and then you're off. We can't work with you anymore.
That bit was a bit confusing to me. I always kind of thought that I always kind of thought that the DEO knew who Kara was, you know, considering the fact that she cuts about there in her civilian clothes, openly talking loudly to Alex about stuff that she's been up to as Supergirl. And, you know, obviously Jean knew and Alex knows, but it just seems like everybody knew.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the recent season she's not done that as much, but like you say, in previous seasons, she's been walking about in her civvies, she's been chatting about family events that they're going to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, is there an agent at the DEO that doesn't know who Supergirl actually is? And in fact, I think her name's just shouted out constantly anyway.
Yeah.
So you would think that it would be sort of common knowledge, and I don't get why the government are like, oh, we want to do it and we want to make your name public, because you would think like a government agency, even in the current day and in this universe, has agents that go under different names that you would never find out what their real name is.
Yeah.
So why could she not, you know, have a fake name or a fake alias or something that
Yeah, like undercover agents, defectors, things like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
They won't be well known to the public, or known at all to the public. So it could be, your identity wouldn't leave these four walls. Fine. And then she can't really have an objection to that.
Yeah, and there'd be the inevitable leak. But I suppose at the same time, they've also had Superman cutting about for years
Yeah.
in this world. So how does that work? You know, do they know who he is, but they've just not revealed it at this point? I mean, it's like I'm trying to work out the context of it. When they were arguing it, it seemed like such a big deal. So I was like, why is this now an issue?
There's also the easy answer is, I don't have a secret identity. She could say that. I mean, how do they prove it? And it can't be that difficult to figure out. Like, there's a lot of overlap in the circles of friends. So it's like, I see Alex Danvers talking to these two reasonably identical looking women.
Yeah.
Both called Kara.
Yeah, and yeah, which Kara are you talking about? I mean, the one that you know about, obviously, not the other Kara. I mean, you've got the general who's been sort of parachuted into the DEO, and you would even think that she would know
Yeah.
Kara's identity, or have worked it out.
Yeah.
Or maybe even be in files in the DEO, you would suspect.
Well, remember there was the hologram of her mother that they had in the basement. You know, that's probably says, "Hi, Kara," every time you switch it on.
Sup, Kara?
So, like, yeah. So
Stop giving away my identity,
it's a bit
Mum.
weird, and maybe they will answer that question, or maybe it's just something we're supposed to accept. Yeah, she's not well known.
Yeah.
You know, it was only Jean and Alex that knew, and everyone else just wasn't paying attention.
I think some of the bits where it has been playing its strongest is, like you say, the fact that it's this public outcry, public resentment that she's trying to fight against, rather than, you know, an individual bad guy a week. And even if you take Agent Liberty out the picture, the idea in the public's mind is out there and has just gone wildly out of control.
Well, the episode Bunker Hill, the title is so obvious. You know, it's like it's a victory that isn't actually a victory because it proves to be more damaging than if they'd been defeated. That's the historical footnote that they give you. But yeah, the idea is, I keep wanting to call him Davis because that was his name in Smallville. What's his name? Ben. Ben Lockwood. He gets arrested because, fair enough, criminal. Everyone knows he's Agent Liberty, but he's just been martyred. Everyone knows the face of late Agent Liberty. Oh my God, he's one of us. He's been tossed aside because he is...
He shares my views.
Yeah, he's been tossed aside because he shares my views. Everyone who was rallied against him is now more committed to rally behind him. I meant behind him, not against him. So, yeah, the situation is now worse. And what you'll have is you'll have a bunch of copycats, you'll have people trying to get in his stead. The organisation will gain more traction. I presume his trial will be very, very public. It'll be one of those trials where he uses it to try and get his point across. I'm talking like Baltar in Battlestar Galactica.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, where he writes his memoirs from prison that people read, and his day in court is a political opportunity to get his views across. frame this narrative in such a way that makes him look like a hero that's being persecuted, and that'll be it. And
call all the witnesses that he wants himself.
Yeah.
To basically put his view over in the best way, try and trip people up.
And his methodology is a bit weird in terms of I want to prove aliens are dangerous by like brainwashing aliens to be more dangerous.
Yeah, it's I know that this is going to cause tons of damage, but this damage will be good in the end. I'm angry because I lost my house and it wasn't covered. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to destroy lots of people's houses so that they're all as peeved off as I am.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like if everyone sees it from my point of view because they're now in the exact same boat, then and I think the bit that kind of showed how powerful that can become is the type of people that were turning to his side. So it goes to like a very suburban neighbourhood, and you've got like the single mums and the family man dads going about hunting aliens. It's not just the occasional nutter, the occasional street thug. It's everyday people that you wouldn't expect to suddenly be outraged.
Yeah. And that's what Kara's most disgusted by, because it's like, oh, all these people, these are just normal people. These are the people I fight for. These are the people I've always fought for. But like, you can also almost see the point. We've had annual alien invasions. It's somewhat dangerous, or certain aliens are dangerous. Although, I don't think they're quite clear on the refugee issue. Are they alien refugees? Or, as there are only pockets of them? But it seems like the population's quite huge.
Well, it seems
so
very
which is it?
spread, And
is it Chinatown in New York, or is it people coming over the Channel Tunnel?
You don't get the impression, or at least you've not seen it so far, as being like a worldwide issue. It seems like an America issue, and it seems to be sort of around about that belt, but not all across the world. People are protesting about. Now maybe that's what they're going to escalate it to. I mean, once that kind of thought spreads, I'm sure we're going to end up talking about it, but it's kind of hitting very close to things that are going on in America today, things that are going on in Europe and the UK today. It seems to be basically going full blown for that. So maybe they will go down the line and go, right, it's more than a American problem, it's more than a city problem. It's a huge world issue. And I don't know, maybe the fact that Clark is going to be off the board as well. I mean, I know that wasn't really a Supergirl reveal, that was in Elseworlds. I think they did it, but
it was in the Supergirl.
It was in the Supergirl Elseworlds episode, but basically him saying, I'm going to be off for a bit. So like the guy that's been, I suppose, the figurehead up until this point of aliens on Earth is about to disappear, or has disappeared, and isn't there to go, whoa, simmer down. It's going to be Kara left to do it, and is she going to be convincing enough? Because you get to see Kara in that debate with Lockwood.
Oh, she gets destroyed.
Oh, she gets shot down. I mean, the fact that it's around about Thanksgiving as well was like the perfect one-shot ammunition to just end the whole discussion. But
Kara went into that discussion armed with only her feelings. She went in, expressed, it was fairly empty sentiment. It was like, we should open our hearts at this time of year. And it's like, oh, you mean like the
time of year where we celebrate this?
But what you get, like the reason that Lockwood is so influential is because he hits there with, he's well prepared, he knows how to win a crowd over by speaking, he's a very charismatic guy, he knows facts and is able to twist those facts into the narrative that he wants to tell, and since he's so charismatic he does it in a way that convinces people. So that makes him a much more powerful villain than he would otherwise be. And I think the Ben Lockwood side rather than the Agent Liberty side is more effective for that reason. Because I reckon he could turn more people over with as Ben Lockwood with his TV show that he ends up getting than he could with Agent Liberty appearing at community centres delivering speeches. You know.
And where do they find these community centres, by the way? Just like,
Yeah. So it's a very interesting issue, and obviously it's very topical, it's very modern. There's a lot of viewers that have been turned off because they see Supergirl as being a social justice warrior, haven, you know. And I sort of understand where people are coming from, although people are arguing as if it's never been that before now, which it always has been. It's always promoted these sorts of things. It's been a broadly feminist show, but I don't think to a degree that makes me roll my eyes. You know, it's not the type of feminism that disparages men, for example. It's, you know, all the characters are effectively created equal.
Yeah, I mean, they've covered a lot of issues on the programme. Sometimes some more subtly than others. But this isn't new. I think it's just more in your face in this season than potentially it's been in the past. And that might be what's riling some people.
It's also the fact that it's filling up every episode, which means that there's kind of a lack of variety.
Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, if it had been another powerful Kryptonian arrives on Earth bent on destroying it for no apparent reason, or an ongoing alien invasion plot or whatever, I think we would have the opposite complaint.
Yeah.
We'd go, where's the human angle, where's the person on the ground angle, which I think this is covering slightly more, especially when you get the episode going into sort of Lockwood's backstory and sort of seeing how his views are twisted. I mean, they don't quite go as far as going, well, you would think this too if you were him, but they heavily hint at this guy started out being completely, anyone can come here, anyone should be able to be here, to ranting in a lecture hall. You know, basically starting to spew propaganda, and that's when he started up his Agent Liberty.
And act. I think that episode, things moved a little bit too quickly. You know, it skips over a lot of time, but I did quite like oh look, here he's in the background of this episode sort of thing, and you know, they managed to cover up either. Episodes like that are good for covering up that Melissa Benoist is either filming the crossover, where she needs time out to do that, or she's on Broadway. Two things needed extra time for her, but and some of that was when she was in her anti-kryptonite suit, when the atmosphere was briefly irradiated.
Very, very, very briefly.
It's like, oh no, nanites, that'll do.
I was like, ta-da, all done. That kind of peeved me off, because I was like, oh, this is a massive problem. Like, they used this to spread lead, and it lasted in the atmosphere for years and years and years. Oh my god, how are they going to get out of this? She's going to be in that suit for a number of episodes now. It was like, no, this is a one episode and done dealy. You know, we've done the magic, we've hit the button, we've fired a number of nanites into the sky, and that was enough.
Yeah,
that's the whole world. The whole world has been cleansed. Yeah, it all happened within a period of about 5-10 minutes. It's all done. They are some fast travelling nanites. My God.
Yeah. Also, I really hated how Kara behaved in that episode, because it was like I want to go into action. It's like, no, it's too dangerous. We'll handle it. And then she does it anyway, and ends up making the situation worse, and ends up almost getting herself killed. And it's like, no. I get that you're a hero, but you're supposed to have learned that sometimes it's good to step away and let other people do it, because, you know, you've learned this before, so why are you suddenly doing this now? Like, get a grip.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that I talk about all the time where they just write people to be stupid because they need them to walk into disaster at that point. They need the conflict at that point.
Self-righteous and self-sacrificing and all the selves. It needs to be all the selves. So that was a bit weak. We have a kind of truncated podcast today because we have no time. Yeah. So, I mean, we'll be coming back at end of season anyway, and we'll touch on all of this stuff. We'll go into more detail at the end of the season on everything. So consider this as a bit of a tease for our end of season podcast. So journalism has come back into our life in a big way, and I think they've done okay with it in some respects, badly in others. Introduction of Nia has been quite good. It's like, oh my god, you're me in season 1. You know? And they did that without making her really annoying.
Yeah, I mean, I quite like her introduction. She did get sort of welcomed into the family and welcomed into the fold, like, ridiculously quickly.
Yeah.
But I suppose she was sort of paired up with Kara for a little bit.
Yeah, and then there was the whole issue of... Well, it's not an issue, but the character's transgender, but also an alien. So, like, was it all the women in her family have dream-walking powers or dream powers? But she's not originally a woman. So
I get the statement that they're probably trying to make through that.
Yeah.
Which I guess what it is.
What's the
is
idea?
What you feel you are, your body then takes the weight of it. So that's how it works. Obviously, alien physiology instead of human physiology, but they're making that's the message that they're making through that.
Yeah, and then she understands the persecution that aliens will face because of the whole transgender thing as well. Her team up with or her interactions with Brady are quite funny. It was I thought you were going to call me. It's like, no, you told me to find you. I did that.
Yeah, I found out everything about you in great detail.
Yeah, but I didn't call you.
I mean, like their initial meeting in the pizza shop, I think was just done really, really well.
Yeah.
And Brainy's reaction to the way that happened. It wasn't the glitch. It was sort of the hack of the. I keep forgetting the name of the device.
The image inducers.
Image inducer. There we go. The hack of the image inducers. I think that was really neatly done. Her reaction of basically stepping in front and going, "You're not.
Yeah.
This isn't the way to stop." And I liked that sort of put her character right there, and you go, "Oh, she is." Key, she is willing to defend. She's not just going to stand back in the background and shirk away. She finally stepped forward, and I thought that sort of said a lot about the character in that introduction. And like you say, they've been quite fun the way they've been playing about with I'm going to call it a romance, but it's not your conventional romance in any way like that.
Although the episode where she masters her powers, it was like, okay, I'm having these dreams, I don't understand them, to I can predict when this is going to hit you. And it's like, give it a couple of weeks. Like, let the development happen gradually.
Yeah, the realisation that a couple of things that you've been dreaming about actually happen, and then maybe you learn to focus it a little bit more on what you want to see happen, or what you're wanting to predict, and then, Yeah.
So, in terms of the journalism, though, it's given Kara a different perspective on things, and she's actually doing her job, which is good. But there was the episode, the one that struck out at me was the episode where she interviewed that alien healer dude, and then suddenly it was like, oh yeah, he's not all he's cracked up to be. He has a child that's illegitimate, but it turns out it's the mother that kept her away, and it's like, and she finds out all this stuff. So it's like, it's the first interview he's done in 20 years. He's so mysterious. And then she finds out all this stuff with a 5-minute Google search. And it's like, did you not research this guy before you interviewed him? Did you just do what I do and went in and winged it? No, I prepare for my interviews. Okay. But
I present you the hat of questions. Pull out any of the questions that you like out of this hat.
But it made no sense. It was like, it should at least have been difficult information to find.
Yeah, the fact that she then basically went and Googled it and figured the whole thing out from there, you're like, well, yeah, there would have been some prep involved before you do this. Surely the fact that she got invited to do this interview would mean that she would put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
It's not, if he's not being interviewed every 5 minutes, you go and make sure that you're going to do the best interview he's had in 20 years.
Yeah. In theory, it's Kara learning the lesson about how she has to consider her stories from all angles before making any assumptions, because she makes a snap judgment about this guy, assuming that he's a saint when he isn't, and or maybe he was. I mean, she just assumed that everything was taken at face value, and it wasn't, and that's dangerous. But she's been doing the job for 2 years, so like you'd think she would have had to learn that by now. In theory, this is supposed to give James something to do, although we're back on the Guardian train again, which is, I mean, it's okay. I like the idea that he's being made a symbol of the Agents of Liberty, whether he is or whether he believes in it or not.
They saw footage of him punching aliens, so they went, he's our guy.
But then it's like very clear what his views are, and it's suddenly like the Children of Liberty shouldn't be welcoming him because they know that he doesn't like them.
Well, like you say, like that initial video view, and then you would do your research, Google the guy and go, well, every other op-ed says...
Yeah.
I don't quite get where they would then go, oh, he's the guy for this. Also, all the consequences of him being Guardian seem to get, like, kicked out the way very quickly. I know that Lena sort of steps in on his behalf, but that would be for the offence that he had committed prior, not anything he commits in future, you would think. Clear. And then it seems that it's like, oh, right, now we're just... Because everyone knows who he is now.
Yeah, it's not clear.
So any consequences of him going out and doing what he's doing would come back to James Olsen now, not just go to anonymous inbox marked Guardian at AOL.com. No,
it's that's a weird one, because after that there isn't really any fallout from when he's out in the costume and stuff, which is a bit strange. I guess just the final thing I'd like to talk about Manchester Black. I love the character. I love his little fighting style where he just, moves out the way and lets them hit each other. I like that. I think the whole I'm a pacifist, and then my fiance is dead. Where's the shotgun?
Where's the shotgun? And I'm now going to hang this guy above a bathtub and poke him until it hurts real bad.
And I didn't really... I mean, we didn't have enough time to buy into his relationship with Fiona before she was killed. But then, at the same time, it's just... Yeah, this is extreme very quickly.
Yeah, we didn't get a lot with Fiona, to be honest. We didn't get much about John's relationship. We basically come in and it's already established. And it's like, just take on board the fact that he's obviously... getting on very well with her. Then Manchester Black comes over and you're meant to go, okay, well, he's traumatised at what's happened because this is the person that got him on the straight and narrow and he was on a sugary peg ready to kill. So you're like, okay. I mean, the quick Google I did on the character was the Union Jack t-shirt. I was like, well, if the accent isn't enough, why the t-shirt? But apparently that's in the comics, because I had to search for the picture, because I was sitting there and I was like, oh, come on, this t-shirt's a bit much, along with the accent and the name. It kind of gives it away. You don't, the only thing else he needs is to turn up in a London taxi, and then you got the troll trifecta of British things to make sure we know where he's from. Yeah,
and you should actually watch an animated film called Superman versus the Elite. Manchester Black features very heavily in that.
All right,
it's really interesting. It's sort of an ideological battle sort of thing, but that's a different discussion. Yeah, he's a good character though. I think the actor playing him is very, very charismatic. He's very good. Even though they've kind of fumbled his story a bit, just in terms of how quickly everything's happening. Jean, I think they're doing well. Like, I want to be a pacifist. Maybe I have to figure out what fights are best to engage in.
Yeah, can I ignore every fight that's going on around me, or do I occasionally need to step in?
And then you've got the whole, I'm going to be a detective for aliens. So I called it, Season 3 podcast, I said, hopefully they'll do the Detective John Jones thing. And they are.
John Jones, P.I.
Yeah. So I think that's all we've got time for. We covered some things. We bullet pointed some Supergirl issues to play with. I think our full season discussion in about May will be more comprehensive.
Yes.
But that's hopefully a little teaser. So, Chris, thanks for quickly chatting about this.
You're welcome.
And I'm off to fight a dragon. So, that was our super speed discussion on the first half of Supergirl Season 4. Thanks to YouTubers Dagma and Neil Stenson for the supplied music. If you like what you heard, then hit that subscribe button on iTunes, YouTube, or any major podcasting app. iTunes users, please leave us a star rating and a comment to let us know you care. You can talk to us about this or anything else on Facebook or Twitter under Neil Before Blog, or go to neilbeforeblog.co.uk and leave a comment. As always, we hope you'll join us on the next Neil Before Pod.